Hey peeps, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm wondering, what do you do when your plans and your goals have been derailed for the year? If you're like me, you started off 2020 with some really high hopes and ambitions of what you would accomplish this year. Needless to say, I don't think anyone could have seen into the future and predicted that something as devastating as COVID-19 would happen to our country, to our world. And so I've been having a lot of thoughts about what do you even do with all of that. So for me, this is my planner. Y'all can never see this. This is my planner, right? And it has my goals for a year, my goals for a lifetime. I kind of drew out what I wanted to do with my life, right? And I'm looking at some of these things. For example, I was actually training for the MS 150. It's a bike race that goes from Houston all the way up to, I think it was College Station, Texas, but over 150 miles biking. And I started off the year being like, okay, it's something I'm gonna do. It was a very ambitious goal, but I was moving towards that goal. And a few weeks ago, we got an email that said that the race was going to be canceled for the year. And I was so disappointed, but I also understood it was for the safety of everyone who was going to be involved. So I have been thinking about what to do now that that goal and many other goals that I might have had and you might have had might be derailed. So I actually want to read a really great verse that I found, and I've been thinking about it a lot. So from the Bible, it's the book of James, chapter 4, starting with verse 13. And it says, "Look here, you who say tomorrow or today we're going to a certain town and we will stay there for a year. We'll do business there and we'll make a profit. How do you know what your life will be like tomorrow? Your life is like a morning fog. It's here a little while and then it's gone. What you ought to say is, if God wants us to, we will live and do this or that. Otherwise, you are boasting about your own pretentious plans, and such boasting is evil." Yikes. Those kind of verses in the Bible are not very popular. Those kind of verses in the Bible are not the comforting ones to us. And we might actually want to skip those types of things. But in actuality, it's not that God doesn't want us to make plans. It's not that he is an enemy of progress and that he's like, you're not going to do that because that's not what I want you to do. It's not that energy, right? What I've been thinking about it is this. God has this crazy big plan, this really wild thing that he's doing. And the plan always has to do with salvation and always has to do with people being reconciled back to him. It's blowing my mind right now how many people are getting sick and dying, both young and old. I think they said there was like an infant sometime last week that passed away from COVID-19. And I actually can't wrap my head around that. I don't get it. I don't even pretend to know what God is doing. But on the other side of that, I've been hearing all these testimonies of how God is like saved people from themselves and from other lifestyles that they were living in, like brought them back to him at this time. So I'm seeing like people who family members, friends that you never thought would come back to being themselves or come back to their senses, or family members, that people that you love that were so far gone, all of a sudden they're coming back. So it's weird that that rebirth and that death is happening at the same time in our world, and it's really, really hard to reconcile. So that's something I'm still kind of grappling with, and I don't know that there will be any answers on this side of eternity about why things are like that. So that is always weird to me, but I do know that God is not absent in all of this, and he is not ignorant of what's going on in the world. He hasn't shut his ears to our prayers. He's still listening. And every time that I hear that someone contracted COVID-19 but they recovered and they're back on the mend, I'm so grateful. And it's happening all over the place. And major props to all of us who are out there, especially the ones who are staying indoors and minding their own business and really protecting other people by, staying in quarantine. Those of you who are essential and having to go out there and brave all of the elements so that you could provide the services, my hat is off to you. Thank you so much for that. we're really starting to see that people that we once deemed, or the world once deemed, as like non-essential, are really showing their value. And I'm sorry that it took all of this for us to realize that. So real quick, I have for you all, I think four, let me look at my notes. This is not very scripted today, but four quick tips for you when your goals have been derailed. Number one, revisit your goals. Don't throw them all away. Don't think that it's a lost cause at this point. It is April, and April is almost halfway through. Yeah, give or take a few months, right? So you're not quite at the halfway point, so there's still time. When you revisit this goal, number two is ask yourself, what type of person were you trying to become? So don't focus as much about the actual thing you were trying to do, but think about what that was going to make you be like as a person. So I'll give my example of the MS 150. I wanted to do the MS 150 because I wanted to be a stronger person. I wanted to be someone who took my physical health more seriously. I wanted to be active. And so I picked up that as a new challenge, as a new hobby for myself. Going bike riding was a really nice endorphin release. It got me getting rid of some stress that I had, some tension in my body. So that was really my main goal of that. So now that I can't go bike riding like I wanted to in the past, I am now going to replace that endorphin producing activity with something else, like some kind of exercise video or something I can do indoors. Like the other day I did Zumba with my mom, and we did Shanti, y'all know hip hop abs. So I was doing Shanti and hip hop abs with my mom also. So I've had to adjust. It's not the same as what I would have been doing if I was like out on my own. I was able to just come and go as I please. I had to make some adjustments. And so you might have to do the same thing. Look at your goal. What were you trying to achieve for your own self-development? Were you trying to become more active like I was? Were you trying to be smarter? Maybe instead of going to attend a class, maybe you could view it virtually. Maybe you could read more ebooks that are online. There are all sorts of things we can now replace. The third thing is reflect and practice gratitude. Although you might not have reached your goal altogether, you probably made some progress. So make sure that you take time to applaud yourself for the work that you have done. For me, I had my Apple Watch and I was, sorry, I had my Apple Watch and I was actually clocking in many miles. I think one time I did up to 18 miles on my bike in one sitting, and that is a huge deal for me. Although it wasn't 150 miles like I planned to do, it was way more than I've ever done. So I actually have to reflect and be grateful for the work that I did do, grateful that I had the opportunity to do that, and hopeful that I'll have something like that as a possibility in the future. Now I know what I'm dealing with in terms of getting prepared and trained to do a bike race in the future. And then number four, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but adjust. Do not throw away your plans, simply adjust them for your new way of living. So let's say that you can't go outside. Let's say that you can't go to your therapist all the time like you wanted to. There's some virtual therapist options. Make sure that you don't start kind of regressing as a person. There are many ways that you could still move forward. I really want to say this as a point of encouragement. You put those goals out there because you wanted to better yourself. There is still time. There's still ways to do that. Do not abandon your goals. I think that this is a season where sometimes people are either in the camp like, well, forget it. Nothing matters anymore. Or let's go into hyper mode and create. There's a happy medium, a balance of those things where you can be very graceful in it, and you can say, okay, I have to give myself grace in this part and know that I'm not going to achieve all the goals that I wanted to get to at this pace, but I can achieve something. So keep doing some activity that makes you a better version of yourself. And it's incremental at this point. We're really seeing that now it is a steady race. It's not a sprint. And so take time for yourself and really be mindful of that disappointment that you might feel. Make sure you acknowledge it. The disappointment is real, but do not lose sight of hope. there is still some way that all of this can be reconciled, and we will still be able to operate as a society, maybe much differently than we've ever have before, but there will be sunshine tomorrow, I promise. Anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. Take care. Bye. Thanks so much for watching. While you're here, I hope you'll watch a few more of my videos. I have videos on minimal waste, sustainable living, on faith, on life, all kinds of things. So stick around. There are lots of great videos to watch. Bye.